we do have in the studio here a presidential aspirant. One of the names you heard there, Tein Jack Rich, an astute businessman. He promises to revolutionize Nigeria's economy, create several jobs, and tackle insecurity. Well, for more on his presidential ambition, let's speak to the man himself, Tein Jack Rich. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, like you saw there, a large pool of presidential aspirants. Your name doesn't necessarily, come up in the minds of Nigerians when thinking about presidential aspirants. A businessman, billionaire like yourself, you've been described as a philanthropist. What are you doing with politics? And you're not starting from the bottom, you're starting from the very top.
Well, this is a call to serve, And I like to take things cool. I didn't want to be all over. That's why, the public didn't know when I got the nomination form and the expression of interest, because I'm not a loud person. I've been in business for 24 years, so a lot of people really don't even know that I exist, because I don't belong to the loud crowd now. And basically the reason I'm pursuing this office is because of the uniqueness of 2023. If you look at what is going on in the global economic landscape and political leadership, you see, the political shockwave that is hitting hard based on global occurrences like COVID pandemic. And you see that even post-pandemic, you saw the inflation numbers rising within the G7 economies. And not only that, the ripple effect of that is hitting the shores of Africa. That is a strong consuming economy. And that is also hitting us real hard on in Nigeria, because we're an economy that consumes what we don't produce that much, and we don't produce what we consume. So when I look at all these variables, I said to myself, what is the opportunity that 2023 has gotten, and what is this uniqueness under a do something and a do nothing scenario? A do nothing scenario, which is my absence, is that the economic landscape will create a turmoil. You see what is going on in the Eastern Europe, where you're having a lot of economic uncertainties and all that. This will continue. You're saying it's almost hitting the Western Europe right now. So that economic shockwave will hit us real hard. And you need a president who can mitigate that exposure by ensuring that what we have as strategic economic engines are activated. So you need a president that understands the dialectics of microeconomic components, how to establish those key footprints within each geopolitical zones and states. So you need a president that can work with state government to understand their economic policies and models such that when the exposure comes, the mitigation is there. You know what I'm trying to say? And to do that, the president must understand, must have strong, in-depth understanding of how those microeconomic engine works, so that we can have a stable, macroeconomic growth. And then we can be able to balance our budget. Not only that, a president that will be able to understand the key engines to activate to take care of our debt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm on board because of these concerns.
So you are that president as far as you're concerned. By the way, you are standing in good stead, because one of the contestants I mentioned there is rejecting wanting to run for presidency, and that's Akinwumi and additional. Just to add that, but fine. Give us a picture of your overriding, that's the way I want to put it, your overriding motivation for joining the race. And you talked about revolutionizing the economy. That's a big, big word, Could you break it down to the layman out there on the street into tiny little bits so they can understand and follow you?
Good. So when you talk about breaking it down into tiny little bit, you're talking about the economy at the microcosm. So creating those economic footprints that can create jobs. But first you need to build a strong human resource base. So I'm creating in each geopolitical zone what I call, a center of excellence, where, a lot of our teaming youth can go get trained and have basic skills because when they roll out of the universities, you see they're not able to get jobs because the type of skill set that is required to create that employment for this bunch of young boys and girls aren't there. And that's why you see a graduate who studied petroleum engineering is a cashier in a bank. And you see someone who, you know, read accountancy is somewhere in a security company just being a security guard. You know what I'm saying? So my model is such that in line with the key unique needs of those states and those communities, we're able to establish the key industry. So my strategy is to create what I call the Jack Rich Industrial 360. Okay. Industrialization of all the sectors, the key components that drive profitable economic growth.
Is that what will create the 20 million jobs you say
no,
you will achieve the first day that you resume work as president?
Yes.
How realistic is that?
Well, okay, so look at what we're doing right now. We're taking it to the very bottom. To deal with a lot of these social issues and insecurity, we have to create jobs for the youths, right? And to create this job, I'm taking it to the local government area. You know what I'm trying to say? That is part of ensuring this true, you know, fiscal federalism. So the state does not muzzle all the opportunities out there, but at the local government level, you're able to create those footprints. So we'll create like 26,000, you know, jobs for 26,000 youths, both women and youth. But again, we're also making sure that about 70% of that goes to the women. Okay. You know what I'm trying to say? So we're going to train them with nothing less than about 150,000 naira training in the starter pack. So they provide the key elements that is consumed within those local communities. So they'll be able to produce what we consume. So if you walk on the streets of Abuja sometime, you see a lot of those young boys hawking stuffs. And when I look at them, I said to myself, listen, what these guys are hawking isn't produced here. It's been imported. So each time you put together scarce resources like naira, and then go to the, you know, parallel market or whatever, and then scoop USD and export these monies to go and import this item that we consume, you trigger inflation. You also trigger unemployment. So we will design the model in such a manner that we will have centers where smaller pockets of factories where they are enabled, trained to produce this stuff that we consume within the local community.
I want to believe you already have a manifesto.
Let me get in on this. If you paint this beautiful picture and you do not have electricity, power, you will agree that it's down the drain. So it's been a seemingly intractable problem, the question of power. How are you going to handle that? That's one. And then the security problem Nigeria has. What's your program to get us out of this security malaise? Good.
So when you talk about, you know, power and you talk about insecurity, you see, my strategy, I mean, this is very sensitive, but I just have to lay it out. I'm going to create an energy resource component in such a manner that the traditional energy that is produced and renewable energy forms what I call a virtual, you know, power system. So it becomes a web-based system. So you need to introduce technology. So when you decouple the current energy, you know, that is being consumed right now, where you have micro, you know, grids. So for example, if you have a property and you generate energy, you don't want to consume the energy, you can sell the energy to the next household that want to consume the energy, and then you can get paid through a virtual management system. But again, we have enormous amount of energy that we are burning in the Niger Delta. So right now we're flaring over 850 million standard cubic feet of gas. So we have the capacity to produce 1 billion standard cubic feet of gas. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these stranded gases can be aggregated, and then you can have third party coming in to say, you know what, hang on, I want to remain in the upstream. I don't want to vertically integrate. So a lot of these guys can come into that value equation, and then they can take this gas and generate energy. And then we can supply this energy to pockets of industries in line with state economic master plan.
So you decentralize the grid system. Okay, fine. Very quickly, because we don't have too much time. On the heels of that question about security, how you will tackle security challenges. You have said no amount of military deployment can defeat banditry. What exactly will be your approach?
Well, banditry is not just the only social issues that we're dealing with.
Of course, other.
Yeah, but let me be very honest. What we need is massive economic bombardment, providing economic footprints and enablers for these youths that we have in these local communities. Because if you look at the migration, you have over 51% of the population within the rural area, they are migrating to the urban area. So, and then you have in what I call cultural extinction, because a lot of people are looking for greener pastures where they can go and earn a living. So, but when you create opportunity within this rural area, you reduce the migration level. And then you also create an opportunity for the traditional rulers in those local communities to be brought into the leadership equation. You don't just jettison them and kick them out. Today you fire this royal highness, the next day you hire the next. You are watering down our core values. So we create an ecosystem where the traditional rulers and the government, including the local community interest holders, will come in and deal with these core issues and provide the economic enablers so that they can have the ability to instill morals. Today, families are losing grip of their children because they can't provide their needs. And these guys are taken to the left side of life. Young boys and girls are making phone calls to hospitals and saying, can I donate my kidney to earn some money? Young boys are under the trees just doing nothing, heartbroken because they don't even know what tomorrow has got for them. Girls are taken to all manner of, left side of life because, listen, they can't help themselves. All these are the elements that aggregate into the social unrest that we're talking about.
Before we let you go, just have about 1 minute or 45 seconds. On a scale of 1 to 10, what are your chances, considering those you're going against in APC, on a scale of 1 to 10? What are, just briefly, what are your chances? And if you don't win, would you give your ideas? Would you be willing to submit your ideas?
Okay, I'll tell you that my chances are super high. You know what? Because the party wants to remain in power. And not only that, we're going to be dealing with a unique issue in 2023. You don't want a joker to come in. You need a producer president, a president who produces, a president who can negotiate Nigeria's position in the Committee of Nations. You need a president that can engage G7 and negotiate access to technology that we can advance our economy and reduce our carbon footprint and then create massive jobs for our youths. You need a president that can take us to G20. Right now, the third largest economy on the continent is a G20 member. We are not. But when it comes to global environmental issues, we are brought in to make commitments. You need a president that can negotiate our place in the Committee of Nations. You need a president that can engage top economies, private sector growth like Elon Musk to come in and establish, economic centers. You don't need someone that will ask for aid. Right. So I'm a president that will bring in all these opportunities, and then Africa will take its place. Before I go, ma'am, the universe is like a tripod. The Caucasian race is giving leadership by the #1 global economy, about $22 trillion economy. The Asian race is giving leadership by Asia #1 economy is about $16 trillion economy. Continental Africa is looking up to Nigeria for leadership.
Will you provide leadership?
We are a continent that is seated on 30 square kilometers of landmass with 1.3 billion population, struggling with $2.6 trillion economy that is about the size of California economy, 3.6. Yeah. California is like Lagos and Ogun State put together. So you need a president who is a producer that can unlock the potential of this great country and move us into a technologically advanced economic growth so the private sector can thrive.
Tein Jack Rich, you made a great case there.
Can only wish you luck.
We can only wish you the very, very best.
With the coterie of those you're contending against.
Thank you very much. And all the delegates, please vote for me, because you vote for me, you're voting for a great change.
All right,
and that's what APC stands for.
All right, thank you so much.